Hello and welcome to Extra Time with me, Gary James. Now, before I introduce our guests, if you'd like to contact the show and tell us about your sport, or maybe you've got suggestions for guests you'd like to see on the show, then please email extratime@bigcentre.tv. So now to our guests from West Bromwich Albion Football Club, Sales and Marketing Director Adrian Wright. Hi, Adrian. And the Marketing Manager, we've got Matthew Dainty, who also holds the title of Youngest Football Club Chairman. So we'll start with that. Matt, Paget Rangers.
Yes, I'm chairman of Paget Rangers, but I'm no longer the youngest chairman in the country. I've recently been usurped after Dave Whelan recently retired. His grandson is 23, therefore 4 years my junior, but so I'm now the second youngest in the country.
There's my research out of the window already then. That's going to be a good show, isn't it? Brilliant. Paget Rangers, non-league side, started in back in 1938. We've got a picture, and the earliest one I could find from your archives, 1946. Here's the team from then, Paget Rangers 1946. I love it how the guys in the suits and the ties, and don't get that these days, do we? So.
No.
So Paget Rangers there, 1946. The photograph there of the team. So tell us about Paget Rangers. How did you get involved, and a little bit about the history?
Well, I started going to watch Paget in 1990 when I was 3 years old. I was taken there by my uncle. We couldn't afford to go and watch Aston Villa, who was the team that I should have supported. So I went down to watch Paget Rangers. Apparently I burst into tears at my first game because the ball got kicked out. My uncle went to fetch it and I didn't think he'd be allowed back in. So I burst into tears. And you could say I've been crying ever since, but there you go. I started going when I was 3. I've been going my entire life and gradually worked my way up to the position I am now, where I'm running the football club itself. The best days of the club were probably in the 80s and the 90s, when they were in the Southern League and challenging towards the top end, playing the likes of Nuneaton Borough and Tamworth, Burton Albion and Kidderminster. Then during the early 2000s, the club went into a bit of financial difficulties, and we had to start the club again from scratch. That's where I ended up becoming chairman, because I didn't want the name to just disappear.
Right.
And that was when I was 23, but then I took on the chairman's role.
So that's a big commitment, isn't it, to take on at a young age, and obviously you're passionate about it. And I know when it started, it was from Paget School, was that right?
Yeah, Paget School, which is on Paget Road in Erdington. We actually train at Hollyfields, which is on that road, so we still train right next to the school where the club was formed. And I always make sure that all our youth players know that that was where the team originally came from. The club has gone from strength to strength, and we're adding new teams all the time. We keep our roots obviously in the Erdington area. We've also got links with Castle Vale and with Sutton Coldfield as well. So we're spread over a good area. And we've got good links in with the professional clubs as well, who send us players when they're getting released from academies.
Oh, wow. Good. That's good. And obviously it's not just like a seniors team, is it? You've got under 16s, is it, and under 21s?
Yeah, we've got 16s, 18s, 21s, then the first team, and then next season I'm looking up at setting a ladies team.
Oh, wow.
I think there's a lot of scope for the ladies' game to be expanded, and that's something.
Yeah, because the ladies' side now is really up and coming, isn't it? And if you look at the likes of Birmingham City's ladies, who have been flying of late and had a great result in the start off of their season with the FA Cup against Liverpool, and they're beaten 3-1. And this is the let's hold this up, keep the sponsor happy.
Yes.
This is the strip that Paget play in now.
Very Hull City.
Yeah. You weren't a Hull City supporter before, were you? Was
no. The club's always played in gold and black, actually. This is the first year where we've had stripes. It's always been more of a Wolves kit until recently, but I wanted to change it, so we went with stripes.
And Hydroforce, you're one of your sponsors there.
Yes, so obviously non-league level, the sponsorship makes a massive difference, because the cost of running the club, all our players either pay subs or play for nothing. No one gets paid, but obviously you still have to pay referees' fees, pitch fees, even the hospitality you have to provide. So we rely a lot on our sponsors and supporters to keep us going. Yeah,
I suppose that is, it's really the lifeblood, isn't it? Because without that, I suppose you know, unless people really want to do it just to volunteer,
exactly.
you know, there's not a lot else you can do. Have you ever been down to watch them, Adrian? Or,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I've had the fortune of going to watch Paget. I think it was in a cup. Took my 2 children down, and you know, which, let's be honest, I've got 2 young kids under the age of 4, and the fact that they can have a run around while I'm trying to watch a game was good. And you know, it's nice to get them out and about, and certainly getting them involved in football. And my son, ironically, has got a bit of a split allegiance between 2 Midlands club, one that I work for, and another one that plays in Claret and Blue. Also, he fondly remembers Matthew, just in terms of, you know, going to Paget and watching it. That's his first official live game, which, you know, he really enjoyed.
Yeah. And Matt, were you a footballer in your school days? Did you want to be, like most lads, wanted to be pro players? Or?
I think I retired from playing when I was 7, when I realised that I was no good. I played rugby at school. My brother was very good at football. He was in Birmingham City's academy for quite a long time. But I love watching football. I've always loved watching football. I've watched 125 games already this season. Wow. At all levels. So I was took to football from a very young age, and even though I knew I was no good at playing it, it was something I wanted to get involved with elsewhere. So yeah.
So you sort of still involved, obviously very heavily in it, even though not playing as such.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. And where's the stadium now? Where do you guys play now?
The first team plays at Bromwich St Michael's, which is in Sutton, and all our youth teams play at Hollyfields, which is on Paget Road, so they're right back in with the roots.
Still back in with it there. And over the years, I mean, you've had some success. You've won a few cups, haven't you?
We've won plenty. The Les James Challenge Cup, which is the Midland Combination, which is the local league. It's that's the league cup for that. We've won that 5 times, which I think is equal most with another team, Highgate, who are based in Solihull. Yeah. We've done well in the local senior cup, so like the Birmingham Senior Cup, where you come against Villa, Blues, West Brom. We've played against those in the senior cup. And the highest league position Paget ever got to was 5th in the Southern League, which was 2 divisions below the Football League. So we got very close at that one stage. I'd like to get them back there because we're a couple of divisions lower down now, but that's the aim, to get them back where they were.
And non-league football, very much grassroots level, very much topic of conversation around football clubs at the moment, especially the amount of money that's just gone into the Premiership. Do you feel that it's right that a lot of that money should filter down? What do you think?
I think there's a lot of work that is done that probably a lot of people don't see out and about. You know, football clubs are very much involved in local communities, and you know, we've got an absolutely superb foundation that basically runs a lot of community programmes. They see in excess of 8,000 children a week. Oh wow! It gives them the opportunity to play a range of sports, not just football. Yeah. We also do disability as well, and you know, being a trustee of the foundation, I found you know, that, and actually until you go and see the work they do, you don't really get a feel for it. But we've just completed a challenge that's called the Albion Challenge. Which started off with a cycle challenge, riding from St Mary's to the Hawthorns, which is 155 miles, bar a couple of additional miles when the sat-navs went down, but we got there. Brendan Batts and myself and probably another 15 of the riders completed that. And then there was a schools challenge where a group of people walked around the 252 schools of Sandwell Borough. And Blind Dave Healy, which I'm sure you're aware of.
Well, yeah, he's a great guy, isn't he? What he doesn't do for charity, he's fantastic.
He's brilliant. Blind Dave's doing an absolutely ridiculous challenge where he's actually running a marathon in the Sahara Desert. And you know, what that guy can do, it's unbelievable. He did the cycle challenge with me. He's like a machine, and he's absolutely a terrific guy. And you know, it's going back to the original question about football. You know, it's a lot of money does filter down, but I think obviously, you know, there could be more. But you know.
And do you actually at Paget and the other teams at your level at non-league, do you actually get any of that? Do you see any of it, or is it sort of stops in the leagues?
I think it filters down to, say, the conference and the upper levels of non-league. You can apply, obviously, through the Football Foundation for funding. A lot of that is determined upon you have to raise 50% of it yourself as a club, and they'll give you the other 50%. Right. Okay. But in terms of money actually filtering down, we don't see it, not at the level.
Which is a big shame, really, because if someone more of it did, then you know, it could be helpful. And just before we go into the break, you from Paget, have you produced any Any professional players that we may know of today, or anybody looking good?
We've produced professional players in the early days, in the 30s, 40s and 50s. Recent times, we've got a couple of players currently who are on trial at Kidderminster, who I'm hoping will get signed up there, which is a decent level. We had a lad last year, Jack Storer, who played about 4 games for our first team just after his 16th birthday, and this season he's been on the bench for Stevenage in League 2. Oh, wow. So I'm hoping he'll make a first team debut. So there's good talent there. We've got some good lads. And then obviously this weekend we've got the big challenge because we're facing the league leaders at home. Yeah. Coventry United, who were formed as a breakaway team from Coventry City when they left the Rico. So that'll be an interesting contest.
Okay, well for now we're going to take a break. We're going to go and grab a boing boing pie. It's half time on Extra Time. Well, welcome back. This is the second half of Extra Time with guests from the Baggies, Adrian, Wright and Matthew Dainty. So guys, just before the break there, talking non-league with Paget Rangers, and we hope folks now will get a little bit more of an insight into non-league football and go and support their local non-league team when they're not watching their main side. That'd be great because you need all the support you can get. Coming on to West Bromwich Albion then, obviously you both work for the club. Adrian, you're Sales and Marketing Director. How did you get into the job? Was it because you would have wanted to be a player in the earlier days and just probably like me, didn't quite make it? Or?
No. I was not very good at football. My brother was a footballer in the family. I got into football, ironically. I've always been in business. I've worked in energy companies. I've worked in financial houses. Believe it or not, I worked at Birmingham City for 5 seasons. I was their head of corporate sales. Right. And then in 2010, I jumped ship, moved over the city to West Bromwich Albion, which is a really good move for me. Mm.
And what's on a day-to-day basis? What's the responsibility? What goes on behind the scenes that the fans wouldn't normally think about or know about?
There's probably a lot of fans that don't understand what goes on behind the scenes, but we're open 340 days of the year. We obviously operate a conference and an events program that provides businesses the opportunity to use the stadium during the week. I'm responsible for matchday hospitality, so all the corporate hospitality, responsible for all the sponsors, advertisers, and the catering functions within the stadium.
And we spoke earlier with Paget Rangers and non-league teams about how important having those sponsors is to the existence of the club. Obviously, West Bromwich Albion in the Premiership, so you get a chunk of money from Sky and from the league of membership. But still, how important is it to you as a club to have those sponsors on board and have the logos and the names around the edge of the pitch and book boxes and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. I think we're naturally being in the Premier League now for our 5th consecutive season. The appeal from an international profile is certainly heightened, and sponsors, they play a big part and obviously make a nice contribution towards the running of the football club. But the size and the amount of money that's now putting through the media is obviously far outweighs where we are commercially. But we make a contribution. That contribution, is certainly valuable and assists with us making sure that we sign good players and we keep the stadium up to a good standard and make sure that when the fans do come to watch a game that it's it's well kept and looks the part. But sponsors, we've had companies. We've got a current company called QuickBooks, who are a $13 billion organisation from America. That have adorned the front of our shirt, which we're really proud about. We've had HomeServe, a local company that currently in Walsall, and obviously currently on the front of Walsall shirts. So there's a whole connection with local, national and international brands, and we're certainly moving ourselves a lot closer now to more an international profile because there are 20 teams in that league, and the global eyeballs that are on the league are ridiculous.
And just going back to the non-league, and you're talking about players and being able to buy better players. Of course, Barahino came from Phoenix United, I think, didn't he?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Which is a non-league.
Non-league club here, just down the road from where we're based. Yeah. So. Yeah, we've played Phoenix on many occasions.
So it just shows you.
It's a network out there.
It works.
Identifying talent at an early age and tracking them and making sure they're getting to professional way of playing in a club. And obviously our academy, I think, is probably renowned to be one of the best in the region now. Yeah. And a lot of talent coming through, and naturally finding a Saido Berahino amongst the community is excellent, and let's hope we can find some more.
And from your work in marketing the club, I mean, how does that get harder with trying to come up with new ideas of how to? Because obviously you're marketing director, you're marketing manager, to come up with new ideas to try and keep it up to date with social media. How do you get on with all those things?
Yeah, I think there's a real fine line between, you know, not trying to be too kind of, you know, fancy in terms of your approach. You know, we understand that we're a very local club. You know, we've got a local support base, you know, that are very passionate about the region, and we just make sure we don't lose sight of that. So I think a lot of our campaigns around season ticket renewals, the shirt campaigns that we do, we try and make them kind of, you know, resonate to the community we operate in.
Yeah.
But saying that, there is also another community that doesn't reside in the UK, which is our global audience, you know, which communicates with us via digital networks. Everybody, you know, who uses social media can find out to the exact second minute of exactly what's going on at the Hawthorns, or whether we're away from home or press conference with the head coach. So, you know, digital is really important for us. We need to make sure that we keep up to the times with what's going on, and make sure that we engage well with our fans and get feedback from them, and hopefully do what they want us to do.
And you're telling me when we were having a chat before the show that you've been doing things in India, or the club have been in India.
Yeah, we've been out in India. I think I've been out 5 times now in the last 12 months. We focus specifically on the north with Delhi. Ironically, there's a flight path from Birmingham International through Air India that goes straight from Birmingham to Delhi, 8 hours, which is really convenient. So we've been doing a lot of work up in the Delhi region with another company called Youth Football International, who are a grassroots organisation. They've created a league format up there for 60 youth league teams, talking about community-based football, but this is in India. And the whole concept for us is we need to grow an international audience. That's paramount for us to continue to grow as a club. And we're using what the model is in the UK, which is with 25 years doing community-based programmes with the Albion Foundation that I've mentioned. We want to try and take some of our knowledge and expertise into India, and hopefully we can identify players that potentially we can, you know, take and bring into our academy. And there's 1.2 billion people living in India, so you would assume
you might find one.
Yeah, they've done it in cricket, so you know it's got to be possible in football. You know, so we've got one eye on that, and obviously naturally going back to the sponsors and advertisers. We believe that, you know, that India, they've just created their new Super League, which has got 8 teams in it, that kicked off in September of last year, and that's had really good success. And we've been tracking the TV viewing figures out there, and they're getting very big.
It's good, because obviously cricket is their big thing, but and I can't think off the top of my head of an actual Indian professional footballer in any of our
we've got Chopra. Chopra's probably I think his mother was Indian, so you know he's currently playing in the Super League.
Yeah. And do any of the current squad get involved in that, or is that something?
Well, actually, yeah, we're looking at potentially taking out one of our current players to come out with us. Yeah. Once the season's finished. But yeah, there's one player remain nameless at the moment until he's confirmed. But he's shown a real interest and wants to get involved.
Because that, for the guys out in India there, it's like seeing a god, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And they all starting to wear your shirts now.
Well, interestingly enough, we did an event in Mumbai called Barclays Premier League Live, which was open to all the local community. There was 11 clubs involved. We were obviously ourselves, Everton, Swansea and the like, and we gave away about 1,000 of our replica shirts to the fans. And I actually had a text from one of the guys I met out there saying I was walking around Mumbai 2 weeks after the event. He said the amount of people I saw in West Brom shirts was unbelievable. And I thought, well, okay, the marketing's done its job there then. Yeah. And we've just formed a Mumbai supporters club, which is only just been live for 2 weeks now. We've got 1,000 likes on it. Brilliant. Which has just gathered pace really quickly, and we're trying to create a little community out there to to benefit. Yeah,
that's great. And because with technology these days, I'm sure they can see the games out there.
Yeah, well,
by satellite.
We can only have 26,000 people in our stadium, and there's obviously our base is into several hundreds of thousands. So they have to connect with us in some way. They either watch live on Sky TV or communicate and look at and go on the internet and follow us on social media. So whether you're sitting in Smethwick or where you sit in Mumbai, your experience is exactly the same.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. Okay, and Tony Poulis, of course, come on board. like any time a new manager comes into any club, there's obviously a great buzz around the place now, and things are looking good. So
yeah, well, you know, I worked with Tony only last week. We did a sponsor event for QuickBooks relating to small businesses, and Tony came in to address the audience. And you know, I'll be honest with you, I've been in the sport for 10 years now. I worked with several head coaches, stroke managers, and Tony comes across as a really genuine, you know, likeable guy that really knows his stuff. You know, that's really attention to detail. You know, nothing is missed. I think he commands the respect of our players without a shadow of a doubt. You know, and he's just brought that structure back into the dressing room, which probably we were missing as a result, you know, of a couple of seasons. But you know, he's got a wealth of experience, and I'm sure he got us on the right track to stay in the league.
And I'm sure, I think there's probably about 8 games to go of the season, something like that.
Yeah, we've got 8 games, 4 at home.
Okay,
yeah.
And it seems strange that the season isn't quite ended yet, but I'm sure you've probably got plans in place now, looking to do the early bird tickets for next season.
Yeah, Matthew's currently in the process of putting together our season ticket renewal campaign, which will be we launch pretty soon. We've got, you know, I don't think many people know this, we're one of the most reasonably priced Premier League. Well, I think we are the most reasonable, aren't we?
Yeah, most affordable club in the Premier League. That's according to the BBC Price of Football survey. So I like quoting that one.
You know, once again, it's making it affordable for fans to come and watch us. You know, we're playing the big teams in the league, and we get into a situation where, you know, we want as many people in the stadium as possible. Yeah.
Okay, well, guys, time's beaten us, I'm afraid. Thanks very much for coming in. So many thanks. Thank you to Matthew and to Adrian for coming in today from West Bromwich Albion Football Club. That's it. That's nearly the full time and extra time. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then. Bye-bye.